in general, okay, what we need to do is we need to have a we will have some migration best practices that we can follow. So some of the best practices that as a migration engineer I do is I go and check all the special handling, right? So we'll have to have a special handling run book that will give us instruction what is the checks that we need to do, what are the verification validation that we have to perform, why if we need to start some surveys or we need to check some process utilization and all those stuff, we will check based on the special handling document. It is a run book. And besides that, we will also have to, before the migration cutover or the replication, we have to go and do a disk cleanup. So unnecessary temp files or unwanted contents, you can clean it up. And then you can also uninstall the unwanted tools, drivers, and then whatever packages we have, you can because this will simplify the replication, right? Unnecessarily it will slow down based on the data capacity or unwanted process blocking you. You can also stop some of the unwanted services. You can also disable some of the unwanted processes so that it doesn't impact your migration. And sometimes yeah, some of the antivirus tool also can be intermittently stopped for temporarily until the migration is successful, and then you can enable it again. It applies not just for antivirus, even if there is some anti-malware, because sometimes the scanning and all those process will hinder your replication and migration procedure. Sometimes the backup also will have to be verified, so backup should have to be completed before the replication or before the activity. Okay, we should not be doing it along with the activity, otherwise it will be very slow and there will be a lot of challenges. And we need to check the network and the what do you call there are some settings, right? The MTU settings, the speed, and then size, duplex settings, all these things you can check and then verify whether the network is confined or configured to have the maximum throughput and latency, and the jumbo frames are enabled, and all those things we can check. And we can also check the firewall rules, whether the 443 port is open, and whether the 1500 port is open at the network firewall level, as well as on your Windows firewall or whichever systems you are migrating. You can also do it, and maybe temporarily we can also disable Windows firewall. You can disable it or enable to allow the specific ports mentioned above. Okay, you can also check the permissions on the source server, not just on the server level. You can also check the files, folders, permission, and then whether you have the right level of credential, whether the system is licensed properly, all the OS application software that whatever is getting migrated to AWS, we need to check the licensing, whether it is the license is properly applied or not. Because if the system is not licensed, there will be a lot of challenges and issues. And we should clean up some unwanted snapshots or any unwanted content. That will also be a problem. And if your disks are encrypted, you need to check whether you can disable that encryption and migrate it. And after that, you can again enable them at the destination. And you need to check the agent version is latest, and you need to check the tools versions are latest, and so on. We need to check if there is any scheduled tasks or activity that are running on this particular system during that particular migration time. You can just do it. So when I say encrypted, maybe some Windows server, it will also have some BitLocker and all those things. You need to get them disabled during that actual activity. You can also uninstall or I mean, we need to check the ITSM tools also, like the Remedy, ServiceNow. What are the checks we will do is we'll go and see if there is any problem ticket on that particular server, or if there is any change activity configured for that server. So all these things we have to verify, because sometimes people will blame the migration team that after migration only these problems have started and all those things. So for those as a evidence, we need to have the problem ticket and stuff checked, whether if there is any incident going on, whether there is any issues going on that particular system, whether there is any problem ticket open for that system. So all those things you have to verify before you do the migration and cutover. So we need to be very much clear that we are doing the activity on the maintenance window. The change ticket has to be raised. We have to get the necessary approval. We have to do the activity only during the maintenance window. We should not deviate from that. See, these are some of the best practices activity as a migration engineer. If you follow it, it will help you to have a most successful migration. Okay, and everyone wish to have a successful migration, right? So these are some of the